Check this out, guys. Cool, right? This is the Donner. And as you can tell, there's some things done to this guitar. Some things I think needed to be done to this guitar. One thing for sure that needed to be done to this guitar. So let's start. I got a video, it's coming up right now, guys. So stickerettes in this video on how I did this stuff pretty quickly and easily in about 30 minutes. So you can do this stuff too. First off, we're going to start with the obvious. You guys are noticing the Les Paul Pickguard. Fantastic Pickguard. Let me get, we're going to plug this guitar in. Okay, so we got a Les Paul Pickguard, and it doesn't fit perfectly. So let's make that perfectly clear. There is a little bit of a gap. It is not an eyesore. It actually looks like it should be there. But other than that, it looks nice. And what you will notice is access to your knob is still available, providing you run a witch hat or top hat knob. And what's really nice that I found after playing this is how you roll into this knob now. It changes. You just automatically know it. And this pickguard almost guides your hand for a fast volume fade in and out, which is really cool. It turned out to be a bonus in this case. Now you're probably noticing these white surrounds. Now these white surrounds are off of Arc Top Les Paul. Okay? And yes, you can use them. They will conform. They will go flat. There is a bit of creates a bit of an arc, a reversed arc, if you will, to the appearance, but it looks quite good and almost like intended. And the reason that I went with these particular surrounds was because, well, these pickups stick up so far off the face of this guitar, not having an arc, that the pickups looked out of place, almost like they were just, they weren't properly set, even though they were. So what these do is they give you that nice, clean look from the side where your pickup's not sticking out of the body 8 miles almost, appearing like it's coming completely out of the body. So that's why I did that initially, and now I'm so happy I did. It all blends nicely. Of course, it comes with a cream switch. It comes with a cream bezel. Comes with the gold knobs, so that's perfect. But something you may not have noticed is that I changed the bridge direction. That's right. For some reason, Donner put the bridge on with the screws to the back. Does that make a difference? No, not a difference in the world, providing that you have a bridge that does not have saddles that are for certain size strings. I have seen that on some 7 strings, by the way. It's very rare to see, but it does happen. So always make sure, if you can't get your guitar intonation correct, check your saddles and make sure that they're not individually grooved for a size string. I have seen that on rare occasions. So what I did is I turned the saddle around. What Donner does, is what I noticed, is they probably don't. I'm not believing that this has been intonated, because they are the exact, no matter which way you switch it. So they find basically a baseline, put it on. It's kind of the same each way, so it doesn't make a difference. So this is on. As far as adjusting the string height, I didn't mess with it because it's perfect. It works great. And if I sound a little distant, it's because my microphone's out of place. That might be a little better for you. There you go. Okay, another thing that we did is you'll notice that probably my fretboard looks a lot better, and the frets are polished nicely. So I did a quick fret polishing, and I took the sprout off. And this probably what a majority of the video is taking the fret sprout off, because, well, this one had some pretty bad fret sprout because it must have been in conditions that kind of shrunk the fretboard a little bit. And they stuck out. They were uniformly stuck out. But I did one side before I did the video. This side, I got to admit, I did during the video, the entire side. Literally takes minutes, nothing to it. I got a special way that I do it that you can do too, provided you have a wife or a girlfriend handy. And that's the key, because you're going to need something that she has. And what's really nice is you don't have to tape off your frets. You don't have to tape off your binding. You don't have to tape off your fretboard. Nothing. You can just do it, hit it, and forget it. And that is not a pun towards the girlfriend. So keep that in mind. This is a great playing guitar. As you can see, we're missing a high string. That is because I walked into the studio this morning and, well, we had a string that broke from up top, and it was just kind of hanging down to the bottom. And so she must have had it kink in her someplace up top where they strung it up from the factory. I did put the original strings back on for now, except for the last one, because I don't want to dig into a new pack of strings for one string. And I'm sure a lot of us have that dilemma. This isn't my main playing guitar, so I'm not worried about it right now. When I order some more sets of strings, I usually order them up in packs of 6, packs of 8. Then maybe I'll restring the whole guitar, but this particular set of strings is going on another build that we got going back here. If you notice this gem with Les Paul, that's right, real PAFs in it and real Les Paul electronics in it. And we'll get around to that soon to see how that sounds. But this is an awesome playing guitar. I have no gripes. I really dig the sound of it. And if you hear any hissing, now that's because I'm running through the Freeze B and it's got some fuzz on it right now. She is a little out of tune because I just put the strings on her, but there is that. So it's a nice playing guitar. You grab it, you just want to play it. It's got a fast neck. It's got great action. Some of the best action out of a cheap guitar, even out of an expensive guitar. The action in this thing was just incredible. I love to play it, but it looks really good now. So stick around. You'll see how I got those looks, guys. And remember, it's rock and roll that makes the world go round. Bye. Today we have the Donner on the table, and I'm doing a couple quick upgrades, I guess. First thing I'm doing is turning this around. We'll intonate it later on, but I'm putting this on Gibson style because I like the screws facing the other way, although it appears that they just set these in a neutral position across the board, so turning it around really shouldn't affect anything. I'm not going to mess with anything else right now, and I want to give you guys a quick hint, or a tip, if you will, on if you ever change your pickup rings, which we're going to do, the easy way to do this. So take your ring, take one screw out, of course, take your spring out, take your screw out, leave one in, but back it out. Not all the way, okay? This is going to help you put the new one on more easily. So just start the new one first. Rather than fighting two, you're fighting one. And I hope that makes sense to you guys. Just make sure you're putting it on in the proper position. So you just drop your screw through this hole. And we put our spring on, and I've seen these springs on in many different directions. Yes, some are tapered. I've seen them on in all different willy-nilly directions. Which the proper way, I have no clue. But I just put them on in the directions that they came out, so just pay attention to that. And then we just hold this, give this one a quick zip. And then we have that started. Then we can remove this one. And it's easier to do them one at a time than fight with them. And at least that's how I do it. And we take our screw, drop it through once again, reusing the same spring. If you have other springs, you want to upgrade springs, doesn't make a difference. These ones hold fine. And it's that easy. As I know, a lot of you guys fight with these a lot when you're changing them. So that's the easy way to do this. The inside of this Donner guitar, the routing is very decent. I'm not going to bother shielding this guitar. Maybe sometime in the future we will. We'll clean out some debris here and blow it out, but maybe sometime in the future we will. And I'm going to address, I already have one side, I'm going to address the sharp frets where they have sprouted. So there we go. Now we got a cream look, and it's that fast and that easy. And I hope this little tip will help you guys when you're changing your pickup rings, because, man, I used to fight and swear and swear and fight. Speaking of fighting and swearing at your guitar, how about strings, guys? Like, when you guys change your strings, how many of you swear while you're changing strings? Because, man, I turn into a trucker when I'm changing strings. Or if you're doing something to your guitar and you're trying to keep your old strings, and then you go to reuse them and they're all tangled in each other and they don't come out. Oh, do I ever create a ruckus? And the family looks at me like I'm crazy, of course. It's like stringing up the Christmas lights, but it's stringing up the the strings on your guitar. So there you go. I think that looks pretty good. Nice cream color. We can do the same here. If you guys want to stick around, we can do this. And I'm simply going to pull the screws out. And I just had these cream ones laying around. These are for an arc top, but I'm going to see if they'll work. So there we go. It's nice. These are signed inside. These have a signature. Must be a quality control thing. They have a marker signature. I don't know if you can see that or not. Inside the guitar itself. So I think that might be the key to why these guitars are just finished so really well. There's some compound in there, but not a lot like you see on a lot. They really are, though. They're done quite well. So same thing. Oh, there we are. Let's get this pick up. Kind of up there. There we are. And same thing. Let's wipe that out a little bit. Get rid of some of this compound in there. Make sure everything's good. And we'll put our wire back in. Now would be a good time to wax pot if you were going to wax pot. I am not wax potting. Now, issue you may have is the length of the screws. So we'll check those. And it will be an issue. So these might need to be changed if you go to thicker. I do have longer ones, and that's what I'm going to be grabbing over here. Just things to keep in mind before you attempt to do something like this is on your thicker, because these, like I said, this is for an arc top, so you're going to need longer screws, which I have because, well, I'm always working on guitars. So we were fine on the bottom one, and we just change these out here. And if I bump the camera, I am sorry. I'm very close to myself right now. Not in a emotional way. Let's see if we can line up these holes properly. There we are. And I just make sure they're lined up. We're not scratching anything underneath. Make sure that we are not over tightening, because this wood strips, any wood will strip very easily with small screws. Always remember that. And that is a hole that was not drilled right. I could tell the way it went in, but now we have some nice cream looking pickups. And the reason I did this is not just looks, guys. It's the pickup height on these pickups. They looked like they stuck up so much, and there was very unfinished look around it. So now I'm going to show you guys a secret tool that you can use to file your fret edges. I have done this side already. This side is nice, but there's a couple up here while I got the strings off. I'm just going to touch up really quick, and if I can find my special tool. The wife loves this. This is my special tool. This is a nail file, and it's light enough not to over sand the frets, and heavy enough where it takes off the little sprouts. And what I do is I attack this at an angle. Now I've done this for a while, but I attack it at an angle and very slowly and back and forth, and it literally will take that fret is just that much. Now it does ruin these files quickly, but that fret is now perfect, that fast. And the little trick that people don't know. So sometimes, and then we're going to search for some more down through here as long as we're here. You can touch every one. Very good. So much better. Now I'll tell you, the frets on this had so much sprout on this side that the string would, if you did any bends and went over, oh, there's a little bit of sharp. That's right there on that one still. As far as the levelness of the frets, they're great. So there, we had that. That side's perfect now. So, and you just go down through, and you'll find that, well, mine, in my case, they were all equally sprouted, which tells me it was a climate condition that changed this so much. And you can do an initial one and then go back in and finish. We're good there. And I'm just going to hit them all, even though some of them aren't that bad. Most of them are uniformly sprouted, but I mean, it's that literally this quick. And it's just taking off that little bit of sprout. You may have to move your file as your file wears. So it's good to have a few of these. And they're an inexpensive way. And yes, I have regular fret files, but this works so quickly and so easily, especially with just little touches like this. And you don't have to sand your binding off, or you don't have to tape anything off to do this, which is, if you're careful. And when you get done, so I do an up and down motion, then I do a angled motion, and it brings it down, and then I do a circular motion. I hope you can see that. And these frets are bad. This one isn't bad at all. Perfect. This one, these two right here are the worst. So we're gonna find a special spot. Up and down motion. Up and down takes the roughness off the sprout. Side to side smooths it and tapers it back. You can go both ways if you like. And circles uniformly bring it down. And that's gonna need a little more. These last two were the worst two, so. And then there was none. Beautiful. This one, and just so you guys can, let's get you right here. So you literally, and let's see these frets how that sprouted. Literally use this guitar, and pick up. That's crazy. So now we don't have nothing at all to catch on here. We're not. There's nothing there. So same here where we just did. So let me show you, because I think you guys were out of camera focus for that. So file. I'm going to take this and I'm going to go in an up and down motion, not angling into the neck, away from the guitar itself, just on the edge of the fret. Okay, in an up and down motion. And then once you feel it start to get smooth, I do an angled back and forth at kind of an angle. If you can see it, I'm going here like this. And then, make sure I've got a good spot here, I do circles. And it's literally this quick. And this will work on any fret, just so you know. You might have to go over them and do them again, or take some time with one, depending on how bad they are. So then what I do is I just take this as a guide down my edge, and you will go through your files, your nail files, quickly, but they're not overly aggressive, and this just smooths them all out. And you can hit the top, the edges of your frets, so you don't have any. And it literally takes just a couple passes, just like that. And all that noise you're hearing is from the file itself, not the frets. Now, these frets should be just like butter that quickly. And while we're here, we'll polish up these frets. And there's no problem with height for sure. Yeah, that's great. That is so much better. So much better. And that's the way it should have came from the factory, but I believe it did. Because they weren't like they were sharp, it was just sprout that in turn made them sharp. So we're going to take some steel wool now, and as you know, if you watch this channel, with your 4-0 steel wool, you do not need to tape off the fretboards if you're just doing a quick polish. All you do, a few passes. It's my opinion and belief that all guitars should have a quick polish on the frets when they're apart. Takes off all the greases and oils, and it's okay if you have good oils on your frets, contrary to popular belief. Coconut oil will not hurt your frets. Lemon oil will not hurt your frets. Although I prefer coconut oil because lemon oil has a tendency of not lasting very long on your fretboard. As you can see those frets shining up really, really nice. You'll notice here in a second when we get done to our next phase. Now this will make a play even better also. Polished frets make the playability nice, especially when you're doing any bends. It only takes a couple passes. So you don't have to overdo it. You know, you're not trying to sand it away. This is just a polish. There we go. Now we can hit our fret ends real quick with it, like we did. That's all there is to it. That's it. Then we take a rag, clean it off real quick, and you'll see that this fretboard looks, well, kind of dry, right? That's because it is. And we're going to take care of that right now with some organic coconut oil. We put a little dab on each, just a dab on each, in between each fret on the board. And don't worry, this is totally safe and has been used for a long, long time, and a lot of people don't know that. So you can even put some in your nut instead of graphite, and it will help it slide. Very, very safe for your guitar. I'm going to grab a different rag here. And what we do is, well, you can take your fingers first. Take your fingers and rub it in. Make sure you're getting it into the fretboard good and get it up against the frets. Now, if you do this in the cold, not a good idea because, as you know, coconut oil gets very hard and it'll turn into like a wax almost on you, a hard wax. So you want to do this in a temperature where the coconut oil can absorb. And this also, oh, by the way, this also cleans. So this will clean. If you have any black that comes off, coconut oil has a tendency to clean very, very well. So anything if you have any black residue anywhere on your fretboard, this will take it off. Keeps everything nice. And just get up nice and close to your frets. Make sure you're getting the coconut oil away from the frets, or sometimes you'll come back and look, and it looks like you got a wax buildup around your frets, and that's just because you didn't get it out of the cracks. But what a difference in the fretboard itself. I'll show you up closer here in a second. One thing Donner does too is their appearance of their fretboards is very beautiful, very nice fretboard. I'm really impressed with these guitars for this price, and actually I see why the prices go up on these sometimes, because there really is a lot more quality here than what I paid for anyhow. Coconut oil too. Don't be afraid to get it on your neck. If you got it in your neck, it will wipe off. Not a big deal. It isn't going to ruin anything. It's not going to harm your guitar's finish, anything like that. So, and if you do happen to get it on it looks a little smeared, throw a little wax on there, wipe the wax off, and the coconut oil will be gone. There we go. And I'm just going to go over that nut because I put some coconut oil in there. There we go. Now, what I was going to do, our next project here is I'm going to take this guitar and we are going to do something that, well, not a lot of people do. The first thing I'm going to do is put my steel wool back. I'm going to go into here and make sure I got a little, by the way, I have a little wax on this guitar under here, and that is for a reason. I wax where I'm going to be working. It's just a little added protection. That's just me. Okay. So we have our bridge turned around. We have our pickups in. The height is not set because I have not done that yet. We have our frets quickly done. And we have our frets very quickly done, as you can see, and very nice, just like butter now. And your results may vary. Make sure you got a nail file that works properly. That's like the only thing I can really tell you. And that is just so much better. Okay. Now, phase 2, if we can find it, because I have a mess here because I have been working on other guitars, namely a gem of mine that I have just put Les Paul electronics and pickups in. That is right, Les Paul electronics and pickups. Because the argument is that in order for a Les Paul to sound like a Les Paul, it has to be in a Les Paul body with whatever wood or wood type. So to disprove that theory, what I have done is put Les Paul pickups and electronics in a gem, and it sounds identical to what it sounded like in the Les Paul body. So, myth dispelled. Look at this, guys. How's this going to be? Is this going to be, you think? Tell your opinion on that one. And we can still get to our knob. It'll be a little out of the way. Won't be hitting it by accident with the pickguard there. So what I'm thinking is we put this nice looking pickguard on this guitar. So let's do that. And to do that, I'll have to tip the guitar up on its side. We'll place a piece of foam here. Hopefully. Let me adjust you. And I'm going to have to stand for this one. And I'm going to figure out my height where I'm going to want to be. Now, I am not going to use a drill bit for this. I may use a sheetrock screw to pilot a starter dimple. And that is if I have one handy here. So let me lay this down and make sure I got everything I need to accomplish this goal right here, because my tools are all over the place. We are. And of course I have the strings out here, and I take this little foam block and I'm going to stuff this foam block into my makeshift. There we go. So that's the way I have this holds up the guitar. This is a makeshift one because it works better than any other one I've ever had, and it holds my guitars in different positions. So you can see what I'm doing there, hopefully. Okay, so we'll take our screwdriver. I wish I could find my magnetic one, and that may be over on the other bench also, or it may be right here. There we are. There we are. There's a magnetic screwdriver. And I'm going to find the point where I want this. Now, I want this kind of high up by the binding. So what I'm going to do is take this here and turn it slowly to give me a mark. We don't want to ruin or crack the finish or lacquer. Okay? And that's why I am doing this. So this is my method. Your results may vary. My goal is not to go through it right now, just to chamfer it. And you'll see that I got a little small mark there, and that's all I wanted. So what I'm going to do now is come back through with the tip of this razor blade, with that chamfer mark, and just spin the razor blade around. And what this does is open up through the lacquer gently, no pressure, just spin it, get a little angle on it so it is cutting away the finish. A lot of people use drills to do this, but a drill can catch and tear the finish. So we're not going to be using a big, huge screw on this either. So what I'm doing is just taking away finished material. And that is it. So if we have any cracks later on around this, which we're avoiding, here we are. There. So that's going to avoid any cracks. Now you can come back in with a small drill bit and chamfer it now, but you'll see that this now actually wants to start. That is not my intention with a screw, but it gives me a good pilot hole right here. Okay, so now I can take a screw, which we're going to use gold on this one, and I do this one before I do the other one on the top. Okay, so now I'm going to take this screw. I'm not going to use it yet. I'm going to start it. Okay, I'm just going to work it back and forth. Patience. And you'll notice there's no cracks. You cracked no lacquer doing it this way. It's a little more time consuming, but it's a lot safer than using a drill and risking grabbing quickly onto the lacquer and cracking it, which is going to lead to a lot of cracking issues later on. Okay, so now we're going to lay this back flat. And we're going to go here. We know where that's going to be, so we're going to put this into our pick. And that's lined up right where it's going to be. Okay. Now, keep in mind this is for a Les Paul, so it's not going to fit perfectly because they are different. This particular one, we're going to have a bit of a gap, but not huge right here. So this is going to be at an angle also. We want to take that into consideration. So we do the same thing. We take our screw. We take our magnetic screwdriver, and I'm going to go, I want this straight down though. I do not want it at an angle. It's hard to, and all I'm doing is making a mark and not cracking the finish. And all I got now is a little dimple there. And we're going to do the same thing with the razor blade. Scrape away the finish gently. The sharp razor blade is a must. Okay? And you won't get any cracks. Because you can, and you'll hear this. You'll hear this actually go as you're doing it. Even though you're doing it gently, you'll hear that noise in the lacquer. Whatever is on top. And let me zoom you in here so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, so there we go. See this little spot right here? So all we're doing is cleaning out that little spot so we don't crack the lacquer. It's that simple. Okay, now that we have that, I'm going to take my screw again and just make sure that what this will do is pull out debris if I just give it a quick turn and back it off. See, it pulled out that debris. That way we're not putting debris into the hole. Okay, now we're going to take our pick guard. We'll take this one. Now that we know that's going to work out perfectly, we're going to take this same screw. I'm going to put this, we'll adjust this bar later, and I don't have a chrome bracket right now. That's what I prefer, but I don't have one. So, but we're going to take this and we'll place this into here now, and we're going to go slowly and by hand. And it should not take hardly any pressure at all, and it's not, but I'm going to need a screwdriver with a better, there we go. And remember, no pressure on your neck, guys, ever. So there's that. Okay, so we got one in. We're going to work our other one. And this one, we're going to have to figure out the angle here, because that is going to have to bend this bracket a bit to fit the guitar so it works a little better here. Okay, we'll push that in. Okay, so I'm going to turn this up on the side again so you guys can see what's going on here. Okay, and another thing, I'm going to wipe off my fingerprints from under this where we've been working. Make sure there's no scratches, and we should be good to go, good to rock and roll. Right there, we're going to grab another gold screw. I get these screws, I just order them in packages off Amazon. Sometimes you can get a complete package of all different assortments of different screws and for guitars. And yeah, I don't mind the black. I guess the black. Slow again. It doesn't hurt to work it back and forth either. If you feel like it's binding or anything, and it's not. And if it looks like I'm putting pressure on, I am not. You could zip this in with a drill if you do it slowly. And what I mean by that is you need variable power in a good bit, and you can zip it in slowly. But I don't want this. I want this bracket to stay straight. There we are. Very easy, very simple. Okay, now I hope you guys can see how cool this looks now, right? But Mike, what about the knob? What about the knob? Well, that's the great thing. The knob is still accessible. It's right here, right on the edge, right where you use it and roll it anyhow. We never roll it from the front, right? We never reach in and roll it from the front. It's always from underneath, so it's perfect. It is a perfect setup. And man, does that look good. I was going to restring this guitar while it's here because I have a broken high string. And as you see, if you always leave yourself enough room when you do string a guitar, you can always take your saddle off and pop it right back on. Instead of removing your strings from your tuners, you don't have to. Man, what a better look. I'll give you what a better look, right?